Extinction could not quench that lowly fire, that invocation, that intensity, that I will even say the divine Agni which is kindled, the divine Agni which is kindled in all the parts of the being. It has become now the divine Agni. It is a flame now, it's kindled. Extinction could not quench that lonely fire. Its seeing fills the blank of mind and will. Well, it is only that which can, mind and will cannot. It is the divine Agni who can. Thought that is changeless force abode and grew. Its changeless force is, or that lonely fire. Changeless force abode and grew, the divine Agni. In a verse, it is the psychic being which has become a fire now. Other parts, it has come down to the psychic being, and now it is the divine Agni, the psychic being within, which is a flame. Armed, that lonely fire, that psychic being, armed with the intuition of a bliss. All this power is for joy, for this creation is for joy, to which moved tranquility to which some moved tranquility was the key. Some moved tranquility. Tranquility was aroused, got affected because of this strong invocation. Moved tranquility has become moved tranquility, aroused, affected, moved. It's not, that itself has moved. Tranquility itself got aroused. Tranquility, which was sleep, which was kind of the quiescent, which was not having any response at all, it got moved. It got aroused. With some moved tranquility. See, this moved is a qualification for tranquility. What kind of tranquility? Moved. Means tranquility was aroused. By that fiery point, the tranquility itself became luminous and suddenly, yes, something should happen. How does it translate that?
Because I didn't understand here. It's not the same. I also don't. Yeah. He put moved as coming from emotional.
No. No, it's a tranquility which is aroused.
That's why I asked.
It is the tranquility itself which is moved, which is aroused, which is stirred up.
So it's a contrast between tranquility, move.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was quiescent. It was not, nothing was happening. Was the key. So that was the key. That was the key. Yeah. It preserved to life's huge emptiness amid the blank denials of the world. It preserved intuition of bliss. Intuition of bliss. It stands for the intuition of bliss. And with the intuition of bliss, it persevered to life's huge emptiness amid the blank denials of the world. Because the key is found, the tranquility is moved. It sent. It persevered. And with the intuition of a bliss, to which some moved tranquility was the key. It persevered to life. I'm sorry, this it stands for fiery. Fire. That fiery point, the divine Agni, it persevered to life's huge emptiness amid the blank denials of the world. So it doesn't care about the denial of the world. It sends its voiceless prayer See, voiceless prayer on the argent floor, it is lying silent, you see. Their oratory to the unknown, it listened for the footsteps of his, and it listened, that again, that fiery will, it listened for the footsteps of its hopes of her coming, returning to the void immensities. It waited the fiat of the word. So that fiery state, that Agni, is waiting for the divine word, mantra. Word, mantra. When it is spoken, it will be. Waited for the fiat of the word that comes to the still self from the Supreme. So this word is coming from the still Supreme. See, there is a great mystical truth in this one. Nothing will happen. She will not come unless the Supreme says, go now. Without the sanction of the Supreme, she won't stir, she won't move. She won't move. So unless the sanction is there,
You have a very mature explanation. You understand?
it's true.
Because you
That comes through the still self of the Supreme.
he and she, they are same.
They are
They
not.
are the divine ones.
Well, no, the dynamics are there, are such that he wills, she executes. He wills, the dynamics are that he wills, she executes. I mean, his willing alone is useless if she does not execute. You see, in the common parlance, it is he brings home bacon, she prepares dinner. You see, he brings bacon, he brings home bacon.
Who said this? Yeah, this is
It's true.
No, this is true. But when you say he told her go, this is very Indian.
But if I say this one,
The man who tell for the
so
go
and therefore I am putting it, he brings home bacon, she prepares dinner.
yeah, this is true, and it's nice. I mean, but in India, the man he said go and do the dinner.
Yeah, it is there
He said
because
like
it
this.
waited. You see, this is what I mean. It waited. It waited to be said. It waited for the fiat of the word that comes through the still self from the Supreme. The word that comes to the Supreme, it is waiting for that. It is waiting for. See, we had the same thing in the case of Mahabharata Savitri. I told you many times. Ashwapati is praying to the goddess Savitri. Ashwapati is praying to the Ashwapati is praying to the goddess Savitri for 18 years, doing tapasya for 18 years, and then she arises from the fire altar, Agni Kunda. She arises from it, and she tells Ashwapati, I know why you are doing tapasya. Why you are doing tapasya. I already know it. But then I had gone to great father Brahma and told him that look, this man is doing tapasya for a son. This man is doing tapasya for a son. And Brahma in his wisdom, no, he is not going to get a son, he will get a daughter. And she comes and tells Ashwapati, by the sanction of Brahma, you are going to get a daughter. And don't complain about it. She, she tells him very, very bluntly, don't complain about it. Go back home and do your work now. Then she comes as Savitri, etc., etc. So even she, although she is coming, she gets the word from the Supreme then only it becomes effective. Same thing. It waited for the fiat of the word that comes to the still self from the Supreme. In other words, it is a very tremendous thing, great, great, great thing that the arrival of Savitri is to the word of the Supreme. It is not from any ordinary person. It is not from this God or that God. It is straight from the highest power, Supreme Himself. There cannot be anything, any greater gift, present, boon than that. That it is coming from the Supreme. Ashwapati is going straight to the Supreme and asking Him. Well, Ashwapati is not going directly, he is going through her. He is going to her, you see. And she in turn goes to the Lord and tells the Lord, this man is praying, etc., etc., all that. So, this fiery point, this divine Agni which is kindled now, it is in response to that, the Supreme has to give His word. So, this is the preparation for the next canto, which is already the vision and the book. Yeah.
Question. So I will speak louder.
Yeah.
We know that Savitri of the Mahabharata, it's a legend. And Sri Aurobindo, even when he did his Savitri, he called it legend and symbol. But he put all his knowledge and his experiment on this legend.
Yeah.
But I am wondering, is it possible that this Mahabharata story was only legend? Yes, it was some
This is what he has said.
because it's too much concordance with.
Here it is this one.
You put it here?
Yeah, the back of your book.
Oh yes, I cannot read it here. But so it has meaning also in the from the Vedanta, no?
It is narrated like a story.
Yes.
It is narrated like a story. It is a story of creation.
Even in the
No, the Mahabharata does not tell you in that manner, but it is recognized. Actually, Sri Aurobindo says that the story of Savitri belongs to the Vedic period. Vedic time.
So it has some meaning.
Of course, absolutely.
Not only a legend.
No. In fact, he says very clearly here, these characters are personified personalities. This is not a mere allegory. Savitri's story is not a mere allegory. The characters are not personified qualities. Characters means Ashwapati, Satyavan, Savitri, Savitri's father, Satyavan's father, and all. They are not personified qualities, but incarnations or emanations of living conscious forces,
Yes, I read this, but I saw this.
with whom we can enter into concrete touch, and they take human bodies in order to help man and show him the way from his mortal state to a divine consciousness and immortal life.
It means it's real.
Yeah.
But this is about Sri Aurobindo Savitri.
This is about
Sri
No.
Aurobindo Savitri, no?
That is the significance of the original story narrating.
Okay. I thought it's Sri Aurobindo means.
No, this is the significance of the original story. It is not a mere story or a tale. These are personified qualities. So, in other words, the Vedic rishis who had this vision, they saw the whole thing in the dynamics. Now, where exactly how the Vedic rishis has that, those details nobody asked Sri Aurobindo, and therefore we don't know where from he has given that. But it is very obvious, very clear that it belongs to the Vedic period. See the story of creation, and the Vedic rishis were concerned about this mortality, the problem of mortality. They also knew that the problem of mortality is tied with death. So unless death is conquered, things cannot move forward. The divine creation cannot appear here. So it is in that context they have narrated the story. In fact, it must have been a kind of an oral tradition that the story went from generation to generation down to Vyasa's time, Mahabharata time. And it is Vyasa Mahabharata who wrote it in the form of a poem. 300 slokas, about 600 lines. Vyasa wrote the whole thing in 600 lines, the whole story like that thing. And Shivandu says that Vyasa wrote a story in the morning of his youth. In the morning of his youth. Means he had not grown fully a mature poet. Morning, in the early, uh, uh, the full maturity which is there to narrate the story, it is not there because this is one of his earliest creations as a poetic creation, Vyasa's. So the kind of a power, strength, details which are required, they are not there. Yet the story is a spiritual story. It is a story narrated by a rishi. So he has got a complete vision, and every description in the story of Vyasa has a pertinence in terms of the spiritual details. In fact, had Vyasa's story not been spiritually so rich, Srivendu would not have taken that as his base. Because that original story has all the contents in it, he could take that thing as a foundation for writing down his narrative. It has all the elements present in the original story, and therefore he could elaborate the whole thing in this manner, you see. Yeah, then of course, yeah. Well, I mean, see, for instance, now in the original story of Mahabharata, Ashwapati is doing tapasya for 18 years in the traditional Vedic manner. He is doing the tapasya for 18 years in the traditional Vedic manner. Now, what exactly happened, through what kind of spiritual experiences he went, etc., etc., they are not described in the story. Because the concern of the poet at that time was to narrate as a story. Shivandu has described those 18 years in the form of his spiritual yogic realizations. His individual sadhana, his collective sadhana, his transcendental sadhana, coming all the way up to the book of the Divine Mother. So 18 years are now part 1 of Savitri, you see. And the other parts also in the same manner. In the case of Vyasa Savitri, original Savitri, there is no book of yoga at all. But the few phrases which he has used, Vyasa has used, they definitely indicate that Savitri cannot speak that way unless she has done yoga. Unless she is Jnana Yoga Parayana, she is an adept in the yoga of meditation. That is only one phrase Vyasa is using. In the adept in the yoga of meditation, Jnana Yoga Parayana, Parayana adept. She is an adept. Now that one single phrase, it means that she has done yoga. Otherwise, how can she do all that thing? Shivandu has used that phrase to describe in 7 cantos of the Yoga of Savitri here in book 7. So the elements, basic elements are present in the original story. In that sense, the original story is really extremely rich, very powerful. Unless it was so, Shivandu would not have used the story at all for his epic. He would have perhaps invented some other kind of a narrative. It is already present there. So, although people quite often accuse that by linking Shivan to Savitri with the traditional story of Savitri, we are bringing down Shivan to Savitri. It is not so. It is not so. Because the spiritual contents are already present in the original story. See, this is a very beautiful phrase, very powerful phrase also in Vyasa Savitri. Savitri has got back the soul of Satyavan. They are in the forest. In the forest, the death had occurred at midday. Savitri, etc., all that. And in the evening, she gets back the soul of Satyavan. Now, they had to go back to the hermitage because they had gone for that. They had got to back. Now, at that time, it has already become pretty dark in the evening. And Savitri says that, should we stay here overnight? Because it has become dark. We might get lost in the forest. We might not be able to reach home safely because wild animals are there, everything is there. We will not be able to. Now at that time, Satyavan becomes very bold and says, what ridiculous things you are talking. What ridiculous things you are talking. Don't be afraid of anything. You see, she is part of the Yama, but now he comes and tells her, no, I know the path very well. How to go home, I know the path very well. By simply looking at the stars, I can tell you how to go. So please let us proceed and go home. Straight away, people will be waiting very eagerly for us. People will be waiting very eagerly for us. See, he is very powerful. Already, the future, new age, whatever you want to call it, is already contained in a single phrase. And then he says, you follow this path, you will reach a group of palasha trees. At the palasha tree, the road bifurcates. Take the one which goes to the north and will go home safe. This is how he is narrating to Savitri. Go home like this, we will come to a group of palasha trees. At that time, you take the road which goes to the north. Now, again, the details are so powerful in that palasha tree, the flame of the forest, that is a common name. The flame of the forest. The mother calls it the flame of the forest. Palasha means flame of the forest. And the mother gives the significance of this flower, the flame of the forest, the beginning of the supramental realization. The beginning of the supramental realization. So he has already put, go to palasha tree and take the road which goes to the north. North, uttara, upward, higher, noble, grand. So every phrase is charged with spiritual content. See, although it looks like a narrative, huh? All these things are there. That book is there, Vyasa Savitri. You don't read it. You don't read it. But you had done that play there in Auroville 2 years ago. Yeah. Anyway, so what I'm saying is every phrase there is already charged with the spiritual contents and the visionary aspect of the whole thing, you see. Every phrase is there, you see.
That's why I am asking you, because I said there is too much concordance
Yeah.
between the meaning of the story
Yeah.
and what Sri Aurobindo meanings put in here.
Yeah.
That's why I was wondering if it's just by chance
No.
there is, or
So all this, he sees all these things there in the story. The mother, see, I mean, we foolish people would not have understood the meaning of the word Palashitri. When the mother gives to that flower the significance, the beginning of supramental realization, then we understand that. then we see the significance of it. Otherwise, otherwise, yeah, because and he uses the word Uttara. Take the path which goes in north. Uttara, Uttara in the Sanskrit word means noble, higher, going forward spiritually. You see, each word is charged that way. Palasha Khande, as a group of forest trees, the road will bifurcate into two. Take the one which goes to the north. So the story is fully charged that way, you see.